So today I'm going to talk a little bit about laying a foundation, how empowering your locals can impact future travelers. This has definitely been a bit of a hot topic recently. I know we were on a e-tourism panel a couple weeks ago, and we had talked about this as well, so I figured it would be sort of good timing to sort of bring up something that I've sort of been thinking about for a number of years now, and I think is really, taking hold now, especially given the COVID times. So, the first question is really, why do people visit your city? And I think we can all agree there is tremendous power in the VFR effect. And, according to the U.S. Travel Association, 42% of people visiting your destinations are there to see friends and family. And a lot of these travelers really want to become more immersed in the local culture when visiting the destination. And they want to really do what the locals do. They want to eat what the locals eat. Now, whenever I go to a city or a destination and I know somebody there, I always go to, my friend or my family that lives there and I say, what do you like to do for fun here? And I think, the power of VFRs and the power of locals and residents in these cities is incredibly impactful as a channel to really let these visitors and out-of-towners know what there is to do in these destinations, because they really make up the culture of these cities, and they know more than anybody the great things that there are to do and the things there are to eat. Now, the other thing is that, a lot of these locals are recommending to visitors things to do in these cities. This is a resident sentiment study from Destinations International, and residents largely agree that they are recommending attractions to visitors, that they're taking their visitors to these local businesses and attractions, and they themselves are even visiting these attractions. And it really doesn't end with attractions. It also goes to food and beverage. If you, Google things to do in these cities, a lot of the results are content around where to take your out-of-town buddies when they come into town. And I think there's incredible power here of leveraging your locals as a channel for creating ambassadors and driving visitors into these cities. Now, this is a bit difficult given that there's not too many DMOs here, and I think Wes is going to sort of agree here, but DMO budgets traditionally have not been focused on local outreach. And I know, Wes, obviously, you do focus on locals a lot with a lot of your programs. And Leah, I know you're here, but DMOs in general have not traditionally focused much of their budget on local outreach, even though, in my opinion, that could be the lowest cost of acquisition to drive visitors into these cities, because these are the people that live here. These are the people that make up the culture and the vibe of the city. And so really empowering them to become ambassadors, in my opinion, is a critical aspect of destination marketing, and it can really have a big impact on future visitation into these cities. But as a whole, we're widely ignoring local ambassadors in our marketing efforts. If we look at this Destination Next study, the market responsibility is largely on business travelers and leisure travelers, and it historically has really not been on the local market. That being said, when we start looking at analytics of a lot of our clients, we found that nearly a quarter of the traffic on these websites is from locals. And so that tells us there's an appetite for locals to really immerse themselves in the things to do in these cities, and they're searching for these things. And we all know that DMO websites are incredible sources of content, and locals are landing on these pages. On top of that, local audiences tend to complete double the goals that visitors complete in their analytics accounts. And so that really just showcases the power of locals and what they can really do for a destination in terms of attracting visitors to these cities. On top of that, competition is also growing. More than ever now, DMO websites have competition in content. Content is king, yet content is everywhere right now. You search and page after page after page of content shows up, and it becomes sort of somewhat difficult sometimes in this landscape to really differentiate yourselves from some of this competition of all the content that's being put out there. And on top of that, conversions traditionally are happening off-site. In my opinion, that's a challenge because data is really king. Understanding your market is critically important, yet historically, we're putting people off our site. We're inspiring them. We're operating the top of the funnel When it comes to conversion, we've traditionally pushed them off of the site. And on top of that, when we're pushing them off of the site into OTAs and hotel booking engines, you know what doesn't show up there? Is the small local businesses. Those businesses are not the top attractions. They're not the things that OTAs really focus on, yet these are the things that visitors and locals really want to do. They want to have that local vibe. They want to do what the locals do, yet when we push conversions off-site, a lot of these businesses get sort of lost in that mix. And I really think that's a critical part of what DMOs can really do. Be that glue that brings the community together, that rises the tide by being able to feature and showcase a lot of these small businesses that aren't the space centers of the world. And so a lot of things that we do with our clients is really what I'll call outdoing the content creators, getting very, getting just super creative in terms of developing programs that can engage their local communities in addition to their visitors. So here's an example with Visit Newport Beach. A client of ours took their restaurant week and they created a pass product around it. And the goal was really to engage locals to visit restaurants during this age of COVID and get them into these locations, and they gamified it to really engage people and give them an incentive to visit more and more businesses. The results were pretty impressive. This ran for a month in the month of September. They were able to get about 43 million earned media impressions, 50,000 landing page sessions on the Restaurant Week site, and they were able to get 4,400 signups for a Restaurant Week program, and they tracked 1,176 people that visited restaurants. And on top of that, this is a critical number. The opt-in rate, what I mean by this is this is the percentage of people that signed up for the Restaurant Week program, but then opted into the newsletter from Visit Newport Beach. So what this also does when DMOs own that conversion side of it, it also allows them to grow their audience and open up a channel of communication with these locals that have high intent and want to hear from the DMO on the great things to do, in this case in Newport Beach. Now, we estimated, every diner spent approximately $20 at each restaurant, which can, attribute to about a $23,000 economic impact for a restaurant week that in this case ran an entire month. So incredibly powerful way that Visit Newport Beach was able to engage locals here, drive them into restaurants, generate economic impact, but then develop a long-term communication strategy upon which they got opt-ins, and now they're able to communicate with all of these locals and visitors. We saw this a little bit earlier. Just want to play a quick video on Travel Iowa's State Park Passport. If it'll play, let's see.
Good morning, Olivia and Daniel. Travel Iowa's State Park Passport is a virtual one that can be accessed by a link. You simply log on to explore.traveliowa.com and sign up. After you register, you can view all of Iowa's state parks. Our state has more than 60. You then select the park you want to go to, and then you simply check in. The goal is to make the program fun for families, allowing them to earn prizes and enjoy the outdoors.
Co-pilot and I both put this all over Facebook on how great this is, where our adventures are taking us today.
So this was a really cool program, and seeing results like this just get me excited about how creative destinations are becoming to really engage locals. Obviously, during the time of COVID, this was a period where the Department of the DNR in Iowa was sort of scratching their head saying, how can we celebrate our 100th anniversary during COVID? And obviously, with so many businesses being closed during COVID and the state park system being so fantastic, it was sort of a match made in heaven of driving people into state parks, getting them outside. And the program's just been wildly successful. And this was largely targeted towards locals and drive market customers. The results sort of speak for themselves. As of today, 25,515 check-ins at state parks. We take all the customer service for our customers, and I can tell you the tickets we get have just been remarkable. People just saying, this is incredible. It's given us a reason to hop on our motorcycle, get in our car, drive to these state parks, and it really just created a really interesting engagement. And again, going back to this opt-in rate, 64.6% of the people that signed up opted into the DNR's newsletter. So not only does it allow the customers right now to visit state parks and be incentivized to do that through prizes, but now they've also garnered close to 10,000 new emails that have opted in, which really develops a longer-term strategy to engage locals, to do more things outside, and to be in the know for all the things going on with the DNR. This slide is interesting because during this time period of COVID this year, the travel sentiment indexes from Destination Analyst indicated that from around May to September, 50% of travelers felt uncomfortable traveling. Now, it got a little bit better when we got into September through now, 40%, not tremendously better. But even though people aren't traveling, our data suggests that locals want to be doing things. This is a chart of daily orders in the Banwango system across all of our clients. And you can easily see the heart of COVID right there, where everything went down. But as soon as things started opening up, we saw a big uptick of locals engaging with programs, signing up, purchasing passes, and visiting local businesses. Not only were the signups growing during this time, but the check-ins and redemptions have also grown during this time. This year to date, we've now tracked over 200,000 check-ins and redemptions across our clients, and we've processed about 170,000 orders now through the platform. So the proof's in the pudding. Locals want to get out, they want to do things, and the DMO, in my opinion, is really that glue that can bring these partners together, develop unique programs, and really engage with these locals to get them into the community. So that being said, I'll answer any questions anyone has. Thank you for your time.